Hello students. In the last tutorial, we have seen how to make a game wherein a home screen appears and on the click of the button, a game starts. Okay, and it can be restarted again. And with the mouse events, we can move the circle, okay, upwards or downwards. And as it surpasses a particular rectangle, okay, or then a score is getting incremented, and when two objects collide with each other, the game stops. Okay. uh, I have prepared another tutorial, students, which I'm going to discuss with you today, and that is about collision detection. But in this example, it is like when the two objects collide with each other, the one of the object disappears or one of the object gets invisible. Okay, it could be very useful for your projects because many of you are making projects for environment or something like that, wherein you would be wanting that, say if a person is cutting trees. Okay, so probably say like a tree, like one of the trees getting disappeared. Okay, so in this example I'm going to teach you how to develop such an application. If you notice up here, the rectangles are appearing from right to left. Okay, and it is not that one rectangle completely passes the screen and then the second rectangle appears. Is like in the mid only, and then the second rectangle appears, and also it's appearing randomly. Okay, so I'll be making this example from scratch. You can add further the scores and all as you have seen in my previous tutorials. Okay, a home screen page or the final score page can be added, but in this tutorial I'm concentrating on how to make, when the two objects collide, how to make one of the objects go invisible. Okay, so let's start from the basics, from the scratch. It's very simple, students, to try this example. Okay, in this tutorial, we are going to make rectangles which appear from the right corner, right? For getting those rectangle, students, I am going to take help of array list. I'm going to prepare an array list. What is this array list? Okay, if you see the definition of array list from here, it states an array list stores a variable number of objects. It's like a collection, but in this collection I can store n number of objects. My objects are going to be my rectangles. Okay, and these rectangles I'm going to store in an array list. This is similar to making an array of objects, but with an array list, items can be easily added and removed from the array list, which we require. We want the rectangles to be added in the array list so that they can be shown appearing from the right to the left. And also we want that when the collision happens, the rectangle should be easily removed also from the array list. Okay, and it is resized dynamically. Okay, so array list is going to be useful, very useful in this tutorial for me. Okay, students, along with this array list, so I hope you understood what an array list will do. Array list is like a collection wherein we can store variable number of objects. And what are my objects here? My objects here are going to be the different rectangles. Okay, secondly, students, I am in this example I'm also going to take the help of p vector. Okay, what is this p vector about is this p, see, basically whenever we store, okay, we tend to store integers, we tend to store variables, one value. Okay, but a p vector stores a collection. For example, I'll give you with a simple example. Suppose, students, if you are plotting up a line, okay, a line is made up of 2 points, and each point is comprising of x-axis and y-axis. Say we call x1 y1 and x2 y2 for the another point. So if I want to store one point in an array, okay, see here what I'm saying. If I want to store one point in an array, what mathematically I'm trying to input in the array, I'm actually trying to input two values. What are those two values? The x value of that point and the y value of that point, right? So we say in English term that I'm storing one point in an array, but internally it is like two variables, one x and one y value of for that point is getting stored in an array. So if you want to represent more than one value, okay, more than one variable, we can take the help of p vector. Okay, so it's like a class to describe two or three dimensional vectors. So we are going to use some two dimensionals here so that we can input multiple, okay, values for it. So this only these two things, array lists and p vectors, is only the new part for you students, which and other code, as I type in, you will notice that it's going to be very similar. So I'll prepare an array list object. I can name it as, say, any name. I'll write vectors equal to new array list. Okay, so this is going to be working as a collection. Okay, it is going to work as an array, and and we can store objects inside it. We can store a collection which can dynamically grow and shrink. Okay, to this array list, I'm indicating it with in an arrow sign. This is a syntax for it, writing p vector. P vector indicates that I'm not going to, the object which will come, it is going to be multiple values objects. Okay, so I'm writing here p vector. That's it. Okay, fine. So basically the array name I've given it is as, the collection name I've given as vectors, wherein I'm going to input something. Okay, then student, let's proceed ahead. What will be the further code we want to write? Okay, the further code, say it would be, I'll be first making my basic methods now. Okay, let's add the first method, which is the void setup method. Okay, and let's define some size to this setup method. Okay, that is the sketch size is going to be 500 width and say 500 height. Okay, and in this first I'm going to get rectangles. Okay, how to make these random rectangle students to appear? Okay, to make them appear, we'll be using the draw method. Draw is the method which gets called 60 times per second. Setup is the method which gets called once when the program is getting executed. Okay, so students, let's come to the point. Okay, I want to make collection, I want to have these rectangles, multiple rectangles appearing. Okay, for that students, what I will do now is, I already have a storage space defined which says I can store n number of elements, I can store n number of rectangles. Okay, so now let's use this storage space. How I will use this storage space is that, see how we write here. I'm going to write something like this, p vector. Okay, a p vector which stays, I can, the p vector itself stays I can hold more than one value. Okay, as told you about a point will have x-axis and the y-axis, so it has more than one value. So I will tell him like, okay, p vector, say a variable, an object name I define vector, equal to new p vector, equal to new p vector, and in this student I'm writing two coordinates, say 4, I'm writing some random number 485, okay, comma, say 500, for example. This means what, student? So I'm just assigned, they both are not being linked yet. They are separate entities for now, they're separate objects for now. Okay, and I'm writing p vector, I'm making a object name with the vector, and I'm inputting two values. Vector is meant for that, you can input more than one value. Okay, so I'm inputting, say this is represent x and a y. Okay, and I'm inputting it in a vector. Why I've written such a value, student, is that I want basically this x and y are going to be the x and y for the different rectangles which appear. Okay, so the rectangle will appear from the right corner, and the x-axis and the y-axis are 500 and 500. So since they're going to appear from the right corner, what I want the x-axis to be a high value of, say, I've written 485, a random value 485, which is very near to the right corner. Okay, right screen. So 485, and this y-axis, students, this y-axis basically, y-axis represent what, the rectangle which will be appearing on different positions, somewhere top, somewhere bottom, somewhere middle. Okay, so basically I will not be writing a 500 here, but I will write, say, random 0 comma 500. This means what? For the y-axis, okay, it will be random numbers, any number which author also doesn't know. Okay, that between 0 and 500 any one number would be picked. Okay, student, what happens here? Now this is an interesting thing to know. We have written this one line of code, but where this code has been written, is written inside the draw method. And what a draw method state is that it gets called repeatedly 60 times per second. So when I run my program, it what will happen is that this vector would be called repeatedly many times, n number of times. And what it will do is that it will be a collection, more multiple times the vector would be called, and each time x and new x and y value, new x and y value, new x and y value would be getting created. Okay, so what we tend to do, as each value, each x and y value is getting created, one x value is fixed 45, the y value is going to be some random number, and that is completely represented, that x and y is represented by this vector. So what I will do, I will, as they get created, I will add them to my collections, that is this vectors. So I'll write vectors dot add this vector instantly. Okay. So student, we are able to get x and y values. We have not made the rectangle yet, but the values for the rectangle, the different x and y value, we are storing it inside these vectors. Okay. Student, it would also happen that this code will be executed very fast. I want that, and the output later on it will be like, um, n number of rectangles would be coming. Okay, it will be plenty of rectangles coming, because the processor would be executing it very fast. We have to tell the processor to go slow. Okay, and for making this code to go slow, okay, what I will do, I will add a delay. How I will add a delay, student, is that say a 2-second delay or a 1-second delay, so that as the x and y coordinates are getting added in the vectors, it waits for 2 seconds, then adds, so that as it adds the x and y values, I'll be also displaying them in assigning to a rectangle. Okay, so then the rectangle will also appear after some delay. So how to add a delay, student? You can, this code could be, this example could be also, you can implement in your different project scenarios. Okay, I'll just define one variable time. Okay, and there is a built-in function with the name millis. Millis. Okay, so actually this is a third new thing which you will come to know, other than array list, p vectors, and now millis. What this millis states, student, is that the millis function, it returns the number of milliseconds. So it is like, if it's say 1 second, so it will give you the thousandths of a second, mean it will give you 1000. If it's 2 seconds, it will give you an output 2000. If it's 3 seconds, the 3000. So it returns me a number which is in milliseconds. The current seconds which is there is getting converted to milliseconds and given to me. So students, here what logic I'm applying now. Okay, what say I, since I want some delay to be caused here, okay, as the vectors are getting created, I'll be, say I write like this, student, very interesting thing. I'll write with an if condition. If millis will give me the current second value, the current seconds value. Okay, so it will give me the current second value, which will be in thousands. And I'll write if millis is greater than time. In the current scenario, if you look up, okay, the time value I'll set to time value just declared and write time equal to 0. So the first time when I run, okay, the time value would be 0. So millis of course will be like, okay, if it's 5 seconds have passed by, so what it will be 5000. Is 5000 greater than 0? Yes, of course 5000 is greater than 0. Okay, so it will enter into the program. Okay, but this will not cause him to delay. This next line which I'll write will cause my program to work in a delay format. How? I'll write time equal to millis. Okay, time equal to millis. Say I'm writing plus 2000. See now what happens, let's understand. Say millis right now is some seconds, say 10 seconds, so it is 10,000. 10,000 is greater than time the first time when we run. Yes, 10,000 is of course greater than 0. Okay, so it will enter. As soon as it enters, what the first thing it encounters, that's millis. Instantly it is, okay, 10,000. I'll write 10,000 plus 2,000. Okay, so it will be, okay, it will be 12,000. So now what will happen, the time value became 12,000. the processor will take within milliseconds actually to run the other lines of code. And since it's a draw function, it will retry to execute it again. But when it retry to execute again, the new time value is what now? 12,000. Is millis, which is 10,000, is greater than 12,000? No, it is not greater than 12,000. So now what will happen? It will not enter into the if statement. Since it will not enter into the if statement, a new vector won't be created. Okay, the millis would be getting incremented as the seconds are getting incremented. It will become 11,000. Is 11,000 greater than 12,000? No. So again it will not increment for the next second. Then millis become 12,000. 12,000 greater than 12,000? No. 12,000 not greater than 12,000. 12,000 is equal to 12,000. So again it will not enter. When millis become, say, okay, 13 seconds, that is 13,000. Is 13,000 greater than time which is 12,000? Yes, now it is greater. So now it will enter, and a new vector value would be added in this collection. Okay, so I hope you understand the logic behind this code, student, how to cause a delay to appear. Okay, it's very interesting, student. If you tried, you can patiently also try in your examples. Okay, and it will really give you very good results. So students, like this, so I am causing a 2-second delay. Okay, and we are adding x and y values in the vectors. Now the task becomes simple for us. Okay, there are a number of values getting added, okay, with 2 to 2 second delays. So let's close this if condition for now, but we are within the draw method only. Now I will define a for loop. For int I equal to 0, I'll define a variable I and will state the value of I to starting from 0, and I less than vectors dot size. Why I'm writing this for loop, students? The purpose of this for loop is we already are having a list of objects added, a list of x and y values added in these vectors. Now I want to navigate, I want to access them, I want to fetch them, and for fetching them I'm defining a loop here. A loop, a loop state what? A loop states that you can iterate, you can fetch some inputs. Okay, so I am telling is that, and how I can fetch the values from this vectors is that by using numbers. The first object which is being stored, the first object which is being stored, it is stored at a number 0th position. By default some position numbers are being assigned. Okay, so it's the first stored in 0th position. So I'm telling the loop to iterate depending upon how many times different objects are getting x and y values are added in this vector. So I don't know the size currently, so we have a ready-made method with the name vectors.size. Okay, and we have written I plus plus. First time the value of I would be 0, means I'm trying to pick up the first value or the first vector, which is the x and y coordinates which is stored in these vectors. Okay, so what I will write further is that I'll write now for the first value, I'll write something like this. Say p vector, say I'll write rectangle equal to vectors dot get I. What this get I value will do, students, is that it will give me the first element which is stored in this vectors. And what is the first element? The x value, which is fixed value 485, and some random y value. This x and y value will be given to whom now? To this rectangle. So this rectangle is now having 2 points, the x value and the y value. And now this x and y value I will be passing out to actually plotting the rectangle. How? By writing the rect method. The actual rectangle will appear because of this rect method, but the coordinates would be picked from these vectors. So I'll write here rectangle.x means this 485, comma rectangle.y with some random value of the y-axis, and the rectangle size I'm writing 30 comma 30. Okay, so students, with this amount of code once written, let's see the output, how it looks when I run my example. Okay, fine. So different objects are appearing. Okay, you can see it here, but it is not very well visible. So I'll just change it to not 485 because the this x and y axis, the width is 30. So let me put it up, say 470 to start off with, so that You can see objects appearing now, okay, but they are not moving ahead because they are like 470 and some random value between 0 and 500, so they are appearing like this, okay. If I want them to be displayed or move across, so what we should be doing is, students, will be changing the x-axis. Let's decrement the x-axis. Let make the x-axis come in minus. So starting from 470, it will go minus minus, so it will appear as if it is moving from right to left, okay. And how we'll be decrementing the x-axis, students, is that I can just write one line of statement here. This rectangle rectangle dot x equal to rectangle dot x, say minus 2, okay. So student, what will happen is that as the we pick up one of the rectangles, okay, we this is the for loop and this is the draw method, okay. So the draw method is getting continuously called, and the rectangle x value would be then getting decremented, so it will move toward the right side. Since we also want it that the page should be refresh, so I will add a background to it, okay. So each time the draw method gets called, let me just refresh the page. I'll add a background 50, a color will assign, okay. So let's see the example now, students. See, you can see one rectangle, two rectangle coming up here. So it's a very important and very easy program, student. If you see the number of lines of code, it's just 24-25 lines of code, but student, important thing for us is also the understanding, okay. What is the array list doing for us, what is the vector purpose, it's x and y value it is storing, they are getting stored in this vectors array. Then I'm using a for loop now to pick up each point or each x and y value, get I. Since it's stored in a collection, we are using a loop now to iterate or fetch them, and this will give me the rectangle x and rectangle y value which I'm putting up for the actual rectangle. And if I want the x-axis to be decremented so that it will be moving from right to left. So students, we with this code we are able to move across randomly, okay, on the x and y axis, okay, this on my screen. Now what to do like further is that let's add up a circle now, student. This circle would be, say I'm putting it at a fixed position now, so circle will have its own cx x value, cy value, and its own radius, okay. And let's give some, in the setup method, let's give them some default values. Let cx equal to say 50, okay, as cy equal to, want to some center of the screen, so I'm writing 200 here. Cr, the radius, I'm defining at say 20, okay, sorry. And then I'll be making up the circle. The circle would be made, okay, on the screen, wherein it will be positioned. So I'll be writing up in the draw method, and as soon as the background is getting cleared, circle I just want it once, so I'm not putting inside any loop, okay. And let's write the cx comma cy comma cr, okay. It's giving me error in cr, okay, yeah, cr, okay. So if I see up now, I should be able to see a circle, okay, which is my another object. So now student, currently the object is not moving, okay, and we can make it move by writing the key press events codes. So we can add it further here, okay. We can write up here something like this: when the keys are being pressed, so say void key pressed, okay. And when the key is been pressed, what we want, if you want to detect the special keys, the left, right, okay, I'll for arrow keys which are there, the up, down, left and right keys, we can detect it by using uh, a keyword called coded. Coded will give us it will tell us which key has been pressed. I'll write up here if key code equal to the up key. So what I want is that I want the circle should be moving up. So what should be changed in the circle is the y-axis. The y-axis, the y-axis should be decremented to cy equal to, say, cy will define with some number, okay, to make it move up. Say I'm writing up cy equal to cy minus 5, okay. So student, what happens, the coded means what? Key coded means some special keys are being pressed, and in which then we check the key code is a built-in variable. We check is the up key pressed, then the cy value should become so and so, a -5. Okay, and then I can copy and paste students for and write else if, one more else if, one more else ifs, because we are going to define for 4 keys. If key code equal to say up, down, down means okay, what it should be changing is the y-axis would be getting incremented, so I'll be writing cy equal to cy plus 5. Okay, and key code say if is the left key, left to be written in caps, it's a special word, left key, then the x-axis should be minus, so it will be cx minus 5. They all will be affecting the circle, of course, and then the left, right, and then again the cx would be plus, because the right key, then the x value should be incremented. Okay, okay, fine. So let's run the, okay, the curly braces. Yes, so I'll add one more curly brace here. Now let's run the example, students. So with this I'm able to see that my, okay, the one of the object is also moving, okay, up and down, front and behind. Okay, and now currently when they collide with each other, of course nothing would happen. Okay, and so now I'll be writing the code for collision detection, students. So we have got some random objects getting displayed. Now as when these objects intersect or when they meet each other, a collision detection code is to be written and to make one of the object disappear. Okay, so student, this particular rectangles are appearing, okay, because of this code here. We are adding up after 2 seconds delay. Okay, we are adding up in the vector, in the vectors, uh, x and y value, x and y value, after 2 seconds x and new x and y value, new x and y value, and we are iterating it, and we are plotting a rectangle. So if you can could also have levels. So you want to have a faster level if the person crosses the first level, so I just have to change this number. If I change to 1000, now you see after every 1 second rectangles would appear. It will be more rectangles you can see now coming on the screen faster. Okay, third level, of course, then it become easy if you want the third level. So you can also change to 500 now. So as you decrease the timer, you can see up more rectangles coming up instantly. Okay, so for now I'm going to keep up it is at say 2000. Okay, so now the collision detection. Student, collision detection is very easy. We have done it before also. We've seen before also. Okay, there was the website with the name for Jeffrey Thompson, which has given collision detection for various objects. Okay, and so I go to the table of contents from here, and since my two objects, one is the circle and another is a rectangle, so I'll go to the circle and rectangle collision detection code, which is coming in section 2. So I'll select circle and rectangle, and then we scroll down, and we get a code. This is the code for the collision detection, the boolean one. So let's take it for circle and rectangle. Okay, and copy and paste it in our example. So below the draw method I'm pasting it here. The name of this function which detects the collision is the circle rect function. Okay, so I just need to use it and pass on my circle coordinates and the rectangle coordinates, and the program will give me a boolean value. Boolean means true or false. If the collision has happened, it will give me true value. If the collision is not happened, it returns me a false value. Okay, true or false value. So I will just define one variable here on the top. Okay, say okay, I'll define some words now. Say okay, otherwise I can write it here itself. Say I'll go back to my code within the for loop as the rectangles are appearing. Okay, I'll just write boolean, say a variable hit equal to, okay, see circle rect, this circle rect, so circle rect. Okay, and let's pass on our circle and rectangle values. We have already written those values, cx comma cy comma radius is cr. This is my circle values. What is the rectangle values? Rectangle values are coming from here, rectangle dot x comma rectangle rectangle dot y comma, and the coordinates are 30 comma 30. Okay, so this will return me, student, a boolean answer. If they collide with each other, then the hit value will become true, otherwise it will be false. Okay, so I can just check with the hit value. If it means if it's true, then what you do, okay, then what you do is that then remove, in the loop itself I'm writing, from the vectors remove that ith value. Ith value means remove that ith rectangle which was appearing. Ith rectangle means ith, that x and y values you remove. Okay, done, student. I think our project is done. With this one change, let me run the example. Okay, and as we navigate, collide, yes, see, it disappears. Okay, so those to whom it's not colliding, they are moving across. Now the scores can be added. Okay, and okay, so the collision detection works. So what basically we have to just check, student, is this. Okay, if they collide, if they hit, a boolean value would be given to me for that rectangle x and rectangle y value, whichever rectangle collided, the boolean would be true, and that rectangle, what you do, you remove the ith value, remove that rectangle from the screen. Okay, so this is the code. I will share this code with you. I hope it would be helpful to you for your projects if you are making in processing. Okay, so see you during the lesson time. Okay, take care.